from it. In the 2nd chapter of Matthew, it talks about Rachel who weeps for her children. And this is in reference to something I think some of you might have heard before, the story of how King Herod heard from the wise men that there was a king being born, and so he thought that was really unacceptable because he himself was king and he didn't want to be threatened. And so he put out an edict to kill all of the children, all of the boys, the Hebrew boys, in that period of time, so that he would be, his power would be secure. So on a day like this, that story doesn't really seem all that far away. Other times we've heard it and we've thought, gosh, what was wrong with him? How strange. And yet, sometimes those things happen even today. But still, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness will not overcome it. I tell you that today to remind you all, beloved children of God, that the darkness has always been. That part is true. But it's precisely into that darkness that the Son of God comes, that God comes, that the Messiah comes. Precisely into that darkness that right now Jesus is preparing to enter. God doesn't desert the darkness or run away from it. God doesn't ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist, deny it, try and derail the conversation about it, or ignore it. The Christmas story, the Jesus birth story, is proof that God always enters the darkness, and when God enters the darkness, God brings light into it. Bringing the light of love into the darkness, bringing the light of hope into the darkness, bringing the light of healing into the darkness, and the light of profound grace and strength and courage, bringing the light of God into the dark times. And yet, while that's how we heal, and that's how we process, and that's how we grieve, our Christmas story calls us to more. The Christ child is preparing to enter the world again in the Christmas story, just like he does every year, every single year, bringing the light so that the world might be brightened, so the world might have light in the darkness, so the world might be saved. In these dark days, I can say that I feel like we need some saving. We need something. We need some saving in our world. I also know that Christ can only do that work when we participate. When we participate in the saving of ourselves, in the saving of each other. And we do that when we turn away from the darkness, when we embrace the light. We do that when we reach out to a hurting soul. We do that when we practice and when we teach and when we live love and when we resist our urges to be angry or to hate each other or to be, cruel or cold-hearted or short or terse, or when we resist those urges, we are bringing light into the darkness. We are saving ourselves and saving each other. When we are the light to others, we let God's light into our own souls, and when we let that Spirit move through us, it allows us the strength to use that light to see the places where the darkness is, the places that need a candle to come into those places, the places that need the lights to be raised, transformed so that it begins to wear the clothing of the Christmas holiday and remind us of the spirit that infuses that holiday. So this is a community of faith, as many of you know, that believes that we are each exactly where we need to be with God, and that we are all on a journey, which is critical to our health and critical to our very lives. And so we welcome every person, no matter who you are and where you are on that journey. You're welcome here. I'm glad you're here to do the work that God has called you to on this particular day. And the great joy of the journey metaphor is the reminder that we are not on this journey alone. God is always with us, and our journeys are always made richer by the work that we do in community. Because when we gather together, we find that we have so much more strength and so much more courage and so much more opportunities to really live into the message that Jesus brings to share with us, that message of love and that message of hope and faith. Loving God, we open ourselves to you, trusting that this is how you made us. You created us for joy-filled hearts and lives. Show us how the creative power of hope can ignite and inspire us. Help us to seek our peace within and create your peace beyond ourselves. Fill us with the kind of joy that cannot be contained, but must be shared. Prepare our hearts to be transformed by you, that we may walk in the light of Christ. Amen.
Children carry through the streets a brightly painted star.